Wow. So no shooting for the hip from the hip for Rob. Uh, I love that, man. And I was just talking to my sensei. He was promoted recently. He's 10th degree black belt now, which is the highest, pretty much the highest level that you can get to.
Wow.
And we were having a really deep conversation. He was talking about how he has become over the past like 3 or 4 years very careful about what he says to other people. Not from a like, I don't want to be canceled.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of that when we're talking here. A lot of people could maybe could think about it from that angle of like, well, they're just covering their ass or whatever. Yeah, there's a part of that, but also like you genuinely want to communicate, right? You genuinely want people to do the things that you think needs to be done to have that company or that project or whatever move in the right direction. Um,
Yeah.
they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to believe in it. They're not going to do the things that you want that should be done, in your opinion or whatever. If you communicate poorly, if you're not leading, like it's just not going to happen. And he was talking about how he's just so super careful about the way he communicates and the things he says, and he sort of almost plans it out. It's kind of amazing to think about that from a systems level, from a managing 63 to 65 people level. It's a lot
No,
of stress, dude.
no, but I think you're exactly. I mean, it can be stressful, but anything can be stressful if you let it
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
That's kind of the job, right? But I think that you've nailed it, right? Like those being intentional about how we communicate, what we communicate,
yeah.
will shape what's heard and how it's heard and how it's interpreted,
Mm.
right? And like the and I realize this is the way my brain works because I'm a numbers junkie and love formulas and things like that, right? But I think that like the baseline for so much of this is trust,
Okay.
and we have to have trust first
Mm.
if you want people to be able to follow you
Right.
and believe what you say. And that comes down to
Mm.
being consistent and to believing that you have their best interest in mind, right? And it's in a business context, it gets a little funky because my job is to have both care for the people deeply and care for the success of the business. In a
Right.
hard year, sometimes those things get in conflict.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the crux of the situation. How do you what I mean, what are some ways that you work on building trust? Like and specifically talking about, say, employees.
Yeah, I think a huge part of it is transparency,
Okay.
education, and honesty. Um, what I want my employees to
Mm.
trust more than anything is that what I say I mean, and that I'm telling them the whole truth.
Yeah.
And one of the deals that I've made since the beginning of running this business is you can ask me whatever you want as an employee, and
Okay.
it's my job to know that if I'm allowed to answer that or not you. It's not on you to
Okay.
filter your questions. It's my job to temper the answer if needed, right? And I believe
Gotcha.
in pretty much full transparency
Really?
up until the point where it would harm somebody else.
Hmm.
So
What would
that's
that what would that look like? What would harming someone else look like? Like sharing what each other makes or something? Like what do you
it could be that. But we have we have pay bands and full compensation
Sure.
systems and all of that, so everybody knows what level somebody
Right.
else is and
Right.
basically where their pay band is.
Yeah, they're not dumb. I mean,
No,
yeah.
but I
You
think
wouldn't hire
it's
dumb people.
like along with that comes like some other values that I have, and is I don't throw people under the bus, right? Like,
Right. Right. That's important.
so I believe my job as a leader and president of my company is I'm also sometimes the person who jumps on the grenades. Like,
Mhm.
that's what I want to. I try to convince and talk to my leaders about, hey, if somebody's lobbing grenades into our camp, I would love to see a race to get on it.
Mm.
And I can do that by demonstrating that same
Mm.
kind of behavior, right?
Right. Wow. Yeah, man. While I was listening to that, I was thinking like a surefire way to lose respect from your team is to shit talk other people in front of your team.
That's right.
You ever been in a situation where somebody's shit talking somebody else, or maybe you work somewhere where your boss was shit talking somebody else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't. There's nothing good that can come of it.
I don't imagine you've ever done that, but I mean, have you ever had that happen in your organization, had to deal with it?
Of course,
Yeah.
and it's the thing that
I mean,
I
I
believe
have. That's why
we
I
have
asked.
to remind people is, yes, it might feel good in the moment. They might
Mhm.
get nodding heads across the room, right?
Right.
But the next time something happens, everybody's gonna be wondering, are they gonna talk about me that way?
Well, yeah, they know. They're
They
not
do
wondering, they know.
know that.
Yeah.
And that'll erode trust. If
Mhm.
trust is the foundation for everything,
Right.
you can't have that.
Yeah. Man, it's it's hard.
It no, it's none of this is easy. Like
Yeah.
that's yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Wow.